you could tell her to... Welcome, everyone. We're going to be starting in just a minute. Settle down with your herring and capelin. We're going to start feeding the penguins soon. Good morning, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day, and welcome to Penguin Valentines 2026. I want to introduce our two biologists today who will be feeding our fish.
Hi, everybody. My name's Megan. I'm a biologist here at the California Academy of Sciences, and I'm going to be feeding penguins.
And hello, I'm Michelle. I'm a volunteer at the Academy of Sciences, and I will be recording what everyone is eating.
And can you tell us why recording is important for feeding our penguins?
It's really important that we keep track of their appetite because it could mean something. It could mean they're about to shed their feathers, or it could mean maybe they're about to lay an egg.
Very exciting. Okay, let's get on with the feeding. And folks, if you have questions anytime throughout this presentation, feel free to leave them in the chat at any point, and we'll try to answer them at the end of the show. And Megan is going through, making sure that each one of the penguins gets their medicine and an exact amount of fish every single time. We give them a mix of sustainable seafood, including herring and capelin. All right, I'm going to bring the mic over to Megan so y'all can hear a little better. Megan, can you tell us a little bit about why these penguins have matching armbands?
Yeah, so these armbands are like name tags on them. And they're just like bracelets. I could reach over, depending on the penguin, and take them off right now if I wanted to. In fact, you'll notice Dunker right here doesn't have an armband on him because he's going through a little bit of a molt in his shoulder area, so we just took it off. So if you see an armband on the left, it's a girl. If you see an armband on the right, it's a boy. If you see two armbands that are the same color, and let me see if there's any couples nearby I can point out to you, but anyway, two of the same color means that they are a couple. But if you see Nelson's over here, he's kind of out of view. He's got the red band with the little white stripe on it. He's unpaired. So that white stripe is kind of our juvenile band that we use here. But yeah, it's if you might notice, the penguins kind of look a lot alike. And even the ones that look different from each other look really similar when they're swimming through the water. So it's good for us to be able to tell them apart right away and quickly.
That's great. And how do you pair the penguins together? And why are they paired in the first place?
Yeah, so penguins naturally like being in a couple. So if you have a group of penguins, they'll naturally just start pairing off. It's kind of just what they do. But we are part of something called an SSP, which is a Species Survival Plan Program. We partner with zoos and aquariums all across North America, and our goal is to keep a healthy, genetically diverse, and stable population of African penguins in human care in case I ever needed to help, repopulate South Africa and Namibia. And it's especially important right now because their population's tanking there. And so we're kind of holding on to a lot of that genetic diversity for them. But essentially that does mean that we are part of a matchmaking agency where we kind of will list single penguins, and other places will list single penguins, and we'll see who's a good fit for each other, and we'll kind of swap them around to see, what makes them happy. And all of them are unique. We kind of make recommendations. We get recommendations, but it's really up to the penguins who they like and who they don't like.
I love that. And I know that this week, the internet has voted on their favorite penguin power couples, which we will be announcing right after we finish the feeding. Food comes first. But I just wanted to ask, Megan, do you have a favorite penguin couple if you had to choose one?
Ooh, you know what? I think I really like Finn and Iggy as a couple just because I got to see them in their really early stages. I've seen them since they were babies. I've seen them when they were hanging out together. We kind of were asking, saying, hey, are they a good match or are they a good fit? And we were told, yes, they are. And they just hit it off naturally. So it's fun to watch that. Iggy and Finn have the white band, and you can kind of see Iggy. He's hanging out next to me right here. And Finn, you see Finn? She's right, oh, she is. She's right there, up there next to the water. Yeah.
Awesome. We're going to let you finish the feeding, and we'll come over in just a minute to announce our penguin power couple winner. Megan, do you think we're ready to give our crowns to our penguin power couples?
Might be. It looks like it's a slower feeding day, which is kind of normal. None of them are really molting right now, and I don't think any of them are really going to start laying some eggs soon. So they vary their feed when their appetite changes.
I love that.
Change all at the same time. But yes, I am ready to crown our power couple. And our power couple is right in the front of the beach there. I don't know if you can see them. They both just kind of spread their feathers out and were shaking themselves off together, a nice rounds. And one of them is preening. It is Dunker and Kianga, our red-banded penguins, except for Dunker, who is molting in his armpits, so he does not have a band on him right now.
Yay, Dunker and Kianga. They absolutely swept the vote this past week. Thank you to everyone who participated. These are one of our older couples, but they're foster parents. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
They're great foster parents. They're really good at, taking care of eggs and taking care of the early stages of babies. They also, instead of just having one nest box, almost all of our penguins here have their own nest box. They kind of have a duplex. They have some nest boxes that are typically off to the right side of our habitat, and their entries are right next to each other, so they just do both of them. I've also noticed that they're pretty chill when other penguins go into their nest box, especially a lot of the juveniles. So they're really kind of a good penguin. They get along with other penguins. Yeah, they're really fun to be around. And Dunker is named after our retired veterinarian who helped him out of his egg when he was a baby. And Kiki's just, Kianga's it stands short for Kianga, which is a beautiful name. Dunker also, he really loves herring. He'll put a lot of effort into getting a herring. Well, Kiki's one of our Shire penguins, and she has a very distinct beak as well.
Sounds like a match made in heaven to me. All right, Megan, we're gonna put our crown on one of our penguins, and after that, we'll, for the audience members, thank you for letting us know about the sound issues. We're gonna go, basically, Megan, I'm gonna hand you the mic for the Q&A. We're gonna go back and forth, make sure that we answer everyone online's questions. But first, we have to have a crown for our Dunker and Kiki.
Dunker, Dunker, Dunker here? It's a nice herring. Dunker, Dunker, Dunker. Oh, look at that. He'll do anything for a herring. Dunker, yeah. Good job on the herring. Got a little heart.
Nelson gets a crown for being the only single couple, or only single penguin in our colony.
I think Iggy wants to steal it too. I think Iggy wants to steal it. Look at that. I'm ready for the Q&A. Yeah.
All right. And Megan, can you explain to the audience what we're going to do next with the hearts?
Yeah, so we're going to be handing out some hearts. Some of them have some decorations and some Valentines on them. But we do this is enrichment, and it's a kind of helps do natural behavior with the penguins. And so this kind of mimics nesting materials. Penguins will go out and they'll gather things they find on the beach or in the water, and they'll bring them back to their nest boxes. So it's something they really enjoy, and it's a very natural behavior for them. Some of our penguins like nesting material more than others. I would say Bernie and Stanley, there are penguins with the teal bands on them, and Grendel and Thule, there are penguins with the yellow bands on them, are really fond of nesting material, and I've caught them going into other penguins' boxes and stealing from them. And I've even caught them trying to go into my pockets and stealing from me.
I know, I see one at your
Yeah, that's it. Oh, no, that's Nelson.
So one of the people in our comments was asking what kind of medicine did penguins get?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So one of the things is all of our penguins here are on regular vitamins. And so what happens is when you freeze fish, and fish naturally comes frozen, it does lose a little bit of the vitamins. And they've done a lot of studies to say particularly and specifically what vitamins are lost. And so we have supplements to help replace that. Some of our penguins are a little older, and they're on a Cosequin just for their joints. And there's other medications that some of our penguins may go on and off depending on what's going on. Meloxicam is a medication that's used with a lot of animals, and some of our penguins from time to time have been on that as well. It's an anti-inflammatory. There might be some people here who are like, I take that too.
Shall we pause for just a second and give out some hearts?
Yes, I think some of these penguins might be waiting for that. Oh, Parker really wants that. Look at her. Right into her best nest box. She knows exactly where it should go. Yep. That is Bernie. As I said, Bernie loves nesting material. Bernie and Stanley can sometimes look like hoarders. You'll open their box and there's just, it's full. It's a tower. It's like, where do you fit?
So since the theme today is Valentine's Day and love, there are a lot of people in our comments asking me about all different kinds of love. Are same-sex attraction, is that a thing among some penguins?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a few different reasons. Some of them, that's just how they are. That's just who they like. They want to be in a same-sex couple, and some of those couples make really wonderful foster parents. Sometimes it's just because, maybe there's an odd penguin out, and they really like being in pairs. They really like being in couples. And so that's something you'll see, oh no, Stanley and Bernie are fighting over a heart, but it's going into the same nest box. But that's something you'll see in nature, and that's something you'll see in human care as well. So it's just a natural thing for penguins.
And so Josie in our comments is wondering what your favorite and least favorite things are about working with our penguins.
I can tell you right away what my least favorite thing is. My least favorite thing is smelling like fish. You can't smell it from that side of the camera, but fish smells really strongly. And penguins, their poop is kind of like cement. In fact, in nature, they'll actually kind of burrow and nest in these mountains of poop that will build up over the years. But I can go home from work, I can look at my laundry basket, and I can tell you exactly what uniform I wore when I was feeding a penguin because of the smell. My favorite thing about penguins is they really just are wonderful birds. They're social, they live in colonies, but they have their own territories. They're a lot of fun to be around. They really are. They're a really wonderful bird. They're an incredible species, and the planet is all the better for having them.
Love that. So some folks are asking about our single gentleman right next to you, Nelson. Will he ever find a mate?
That's a really good question. As I said, naturally, penguins just like being in pairs. And so if there's another single penguin where he's going to, he naturally might pair up with them. As I said, we're part of an SSP, and so that does mean kind of moving penguins around. So he is one of the penguins that eventually is going to move off to a new home. He's 2, so he's not at an age. Some penguins will start, really pairing and having young at that age. It's a little early. Sometimes you might need to wait a few more years for that. But yeah, he will probably likely have a pair. It's just what they do. They pair up.
Maybe we'll give a couple more hearts.
Yeah.
Ask a couple more questions.
Let's see who else wants one. Oh, that is Stanley, and she's going to make her way to her nest box. You might see Parker. Oh, Tux is peeking his head out of the nest box. Tux and Parker right now are actually on an artificial egg. So Tux might have to get off the egg to rearrange all those hearts. That was Pete and Opal calling to each other.
I wonder if the audience could hear some of those honking noises.
I might
Can you
try.
tell us about the noises
Yeah.
that
So African penguins make a very distinct noise that sounds like a donkey. It's literally a hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw type of sound. So if you're ever looking at some penguins and you see their head go up, that mouth or that beak of theirs go open, and you see this, this in and out of their throat and their chest, they are making a really loud donkey type of noise. It's great for traveling distances. Both the penguins will often make the same noise together. When one makes a sound, that's our power couple, Dunker and Kiki, making that sound. But when one makes a sound, a lot of other penguins will sometimes join in. So yeah, it's a way they communicate with each other. Swimming in the water to get to the hearts.
And so Megan, can you tell us, do you know how many eggs a penguin lays in their lifetime? Or like how the egg process works?
Yeah, so that can vary a lot depending on the penguins. Some penguins maybe can start as early as 2. I mean, it's pretty early. Some wait till they're 4 to start. They typically lay 2 eggs at a time. It's a little more common to see them, have one set of 2 babies a year, but if it's really good, and a lot of times, especially in human care, they're able to maybe have 4 that they can kind of raise. And then in human care, there are penguins that can reach, 40, which is very old. Very few penguins reach that age. But at that time, they might be a little old and the eggs might not be viable. So for instance, we have a 38-year-old penguin here. She just had her birthday, named Opal. And her eggs are a little unusual in shape now. And she's also kind of too old to go through the stress of maybe raising a baby. But yeah, So if you do the math all together, that is a lot of penguins that they can have. But whether or not, in South Africa and Namibia, all those penguins are going to make it is, another question. They typically have 2 eggs at a time, but usually they aren't only able to really raise one of those eggs. The other one's just kind of a spare.
So some folks are asking what kinds of enrichment that you give penguins?
One of our favorites to throw in are pool toys. We'll throw those in, just like diving toys. They'll go in the water and pull them up. Sometimes wiffle balls that will float on the water. They'll go and grab them and pull them up. We put hula hoops in. We have fake kelp, swaying around in the water. We also have real kelp. We have real kelp in here because we have real animals in here that share the space with them. So we've got sea urchins, we've got sea stars, we've got pajama sharks, and that's another form of enrichment. We have bubble guns that will put bubbles everywhere. We'll play music. I had a sprinkler on this morning for them, so just some nice sounds, or not sounds, but water falling everywhere. So yeah, we have a lot of different enrichment that we will give them, but this is probably one of their favorites. Depending on the penguin. Some are more interested in it than others.
And can you tell us, so I know some of them have started to get in the water here and there after having their fish and their hearts. How fast can they swim?
I've heard of them going maybe around, 20 miles per hour or so. They can swim faster than an Olympic swimmer. But when you see them swim super fast, it's almost going to be this in and out kind of the water that they're going for. It's faster than we can swim, but it's not as fast as a lot of other animals or even other penguins. They're not known for being super fast.
So I know that you told me earlier that some of the penguins sit on artificial eggs. Can you explain
Yeah.
that a little bit?
So yes, we do. I have a little artificial egg I can kind of show you for a second. But yeah, artificial eggs are really useful for a penguin, especially for like penguins that are going to foster an egg. You might start by putting an artificial egg like this into their nest box. So they'll start sitting on it and taking care of it, and then switch it out and replace it with a real egg. So like I said, penguins lay 2 eggs at a time, but it's really hard to take care of 2 eggs at a time. So you might want to spread those babies out for other penguins that don't have them. Also, if they don't have a really good genetic match, you might want to replace it with an artificial egg. Or you're too full, there's too many penguins, you might want to replace it with an artificial egg and let them complete that cycle. You might also want to put that egg in an incubator. And then you can replace it with an artificial egg and put it back with the parents anytime you want to. So they're really useful. In fact, we have seen penguins try to steal an artificial egg from each other. We've also seen penguins after a certain amount of time, they naturally will give it up or will, remove it from them. But yeah, we have a couple right now on artificial egg. Tux and Parker are right in here on top of an artificial egg right now.
And speaking of hijinks, so I know you mentioned some of the penguins like to steal from each other. Are there any kind of fun anecdotes you can share about how the penguins like to be playful with each other?
Yeah, I can share one that was these 2 culprits over here, Thule and Grendel with the yellow bands, which was them, I guess, being playful with me. I think it was Thule. Thule came up to me and pulled my keys out of my pocket, passed them off to Grendel, and Grendel started taking off after with my keys to bring them to his nest box. Iggy. So that was Iggy being a little territorial of his space. He's one of our younger males. But as you can see, Nelson is fine. It's normal penguin antics. I guess Nelson was in a space that Iggy didn't want him to be in. But yeah, so I've seen them steal from each other. We have come in the morning and seen like an artificial egg missing from a nest box and found it in another nest box. Yeah, that's one of the funnier things. But just the stealing, Bernie and Stanley going in and out of nest boxes while the couples are swimming in the water, they're taking advantage and going and stealing nesting material from all the other penguins. It's like, I see you're swimming. I will go and grab some stuff from your box.
It's so sneaky. And I think I just saw Stanley just jump into the water, or Bernie maybe, I can't remember.
That is Stanley.
Stanley.
She's probably taking an easier path to get to this nesting material. As I said, they really like it. Probably because Dunker and Kianga are on that space. There's a little bridge that connects their little nest box to the mainland. Bernie and Stanley are also kind of like Dunker and Kianga. They're not as, you don't see them act as territorial as some of the other penguins in general. I'll look over and I'll see a lot of other penguins hanging outside their nest box, and as long as they're not too close, they tend to be pretty relaxed about it.
And how cold is the water that Stanley's swimming in?
It's kind of like the coast of California, so it's cold. I'm trying to think the exact specific degrees. Basically, if I were to go in there, I would need to wear a wetsuit. But I have been able to go stand up on these rocks in waders, so it's that sort of temperature, which is, natural temperature for them. They're in South Africa, and, South Africa does have, the ocean, kind of colder waters than the ocean.
So we have another question from Josie, which is really interesting. Do these types of penguins also enjoy cuddling, or do they impress mates a different way?
So they do definitely kind of cuddle with each other and preen with each other, and are next to each other as bonding behavior. You might see me reach over and try to touch them. Nelson's really the only one right now I can get away with hanging out with a lot because he's not paired. He's an adult that's not paired. But they start to, once they form a couple, they don't really like other people touching them. So there's kind of this period when they're younger. Us, biologists here, we do try to handle them a lot when they're younger, just to get them used to us touching them. Because if we ever needed to give them eye drops or anything like that, it's important that they're comfortable with that and know it's a safe behavior. But yeah, they cuddle with each other a lot. They're often really cute together.
And related to all of these hearts in your lap and everywhere, it seems like they're really enjoying it. Someone is asking why the penguins like the hearts so much, the Valentines.
They like to bring them back to their box to put them in and as nesting material. It's kind of like a little cozy bed for their eggs to be on. If you think of some of these beaches and these areas that they're nesting in, the surface can be a little bit hard, like gritty and sandy. So pulling ashore like kelp leaves and soft things up to shore and sticking it in a box is good for them because it gives them a comfortable place to lay an egg.
And speaking of those nest boxes, someone is asking, how often do you clean the nest boxes? And if you do they get mad at you for getting rid of their collections?
We clean them pretty regularly depending on if they're on an egg or not. Yeah, we clean them really regularly. We'll also sometimes take out everything inside them and disinfect it and put it back in and switch it out. But we tend to hose them pretty much every day, removing the stuff and disinfecting them kind of, I think, about weekly. Really depends on what's going on, though. So, for instance, Tux and Parker, who are on artificial egg, their nest box is pretty natural right now because we're not going to go in and kick them off an egg just to clean it. But yeah, they do kind of get a little miffed, but it's important that we do clean them. And also, it starts the process all over again. In nature, those nest boxes where they're nesting is not going to be perfect all the time. They are going to have interruptions. They're going to have disturbances. They're going to have little penguins stealing stuff from them. So we do that too.
And so just a couple more questions before we end our live stream for today. Just a reminder, everybody, that you're also able to watch our penguins 24/7 with our live cameras. Mm-hmm. So if you want to follow them afterwards, it's totally possible. But somebody wants to know who our biggest and our smallest penguins are.
So I would say if you go by height, Pete is one of our biggest penguins, I'd say, especially by height. Pete has the purple band on his his right-hand side. As for smallest penguins, I think Ty is pretty small, especially weight-wise. She might trade on and off with a few of our other girls for being the smallest. Ty has a green band on her left. We have a lot of penguins that can be kind of close in size, and so that is, who exactly is the smallest and who exactly is the tallest can kind of vary. But Pete, man, he does stand out with his height.
And so I guess maybe our last question for today is, who is our best and our worst behaved penguins and why?
Oh, That's a really good question. I'm going to say, oh, I hate to single out penguins like this. I'm going to say Robin is sometimes our worst penguin because he likes just taking over other penguins' nest box. You'll see him going around nest box. He has a perfectly wonderful nest box. His partner Ty loves that nest box. But you'll see him going around trying to kick penguins out of their nest box. Particularly, he really likes Tux and Parker's nest box and really wants that. So sometimes, I am not 100% certain. And he's not a penguin that really wants to be right up next to us either. So the one further away better suits his personality. But yeah, he stirs up trouble a lot too. He's a great penguin. He's a wonderful penguin. But he's one of those ones where it's like, who do you think caused this argument? And you're like, Robin. Robin caused this argument. For best penguin, I'm going to say, it's really hard to say who's the best penguin because they're all so good. But Nelson is a really good penguin. He's a really well-behaved penguin. He still kind of has some of that baby personality. That might change in a year from now. But right now, he's a really good penguin.